So talk to me about your why. Like what fuels you? Like when you think of your why, because obviously you're doing really incredible work, but what's behind it? What's the fuel for you?
Well, I was for a lot of years an educational psychologist, which is all about, is what I like to say, apology to all the clinical psychologists, I think ed psych is the bright side of psychology. It's educational psychology is all about teaching people how to ignite their motivation, how to move them into their best self, to help them identify what their highest future potential is and move them there.
Yeah.
And I love the concept of, I'm a big fan of Albert Ellis, which you might know is all about whatever happened in the past happened. Let's forgive the past and really deal with what we can do now and move forward.
Forgive the past. So
Well, and that's actually what we bring into the lab.
So
all
your
innovation.
personal purpose then, how would you define that to me?
Well, I noticed when I was working as an ed psych, people did not really, we're talking about all ages.
Right.
And the younger the child, the more you can work with them. But I was working a lot in higher ed, and I noticed a lot of kids had no idea who they were or what was their work. And
Who am I and what is my work?
the two biggest questions you'll ever answer. Who am I and what is my work? And the really cool thing is when I started in higher ed, I was helping develop a student success center, and a lot of the focus was on study skills, and even when I was at the high school level, study skills. But I learned that if we ignited students with their passion, study skills became irrelevant almost, which is a reckless way to say it. A lot of
Why
parents
don't
would say,
we teach this though? Everybody I talk to, right, once they find that passion,
there's nothing that holds them back.
Before everybody's titling them as the lazy kid or irresponsible or rebellious, the minute they find their passion, boom, right?
Right.
So there's research about this.
A lot of research, but also it's just evident you can just do your own research too. I mean, parents can do their own research. What I love about everything we've set up in the lab, people can do at home. I've said everything we do here you can do.
So we're at this place of like, what is my work? Who am I and what's my work? Is that your purpose in life? Is that what lights you up?
Well, I noticed early on when I went from school counseling to ed psych, and I noticed in school counseling that I just had this, I started realizing that children had gifts, and if it was smothered by too much organization in their world or too much demand from the outside, and I know that sounds like parents just say, what, we've got to challenge our kids, but we have to have kids find who they are. And I felt more and more as I worked through working with smaller, younger children to high school children to high school kids, college kids, that many people that were so disconnected from that. And I started saying to students, we have to find a way for you to find your gift, because if you don't give your gift, it's lost to the world forever, because no one can give the gift that you give.
Yeah, the belief that you were born, you have a purpose here, and a gift to give, serve, contribute, add, beautify, solve, and it's in here.
And
that's a belief, right?
Right, and I was more and more, I saw more kids dropping out of school, more kids failing in college, and I was saying, this just doesn't have to happen. Maybe they're not supposed, maybe their pathway's not university, but they don't have to fall out and fall into something just as just like this'll just do.
Yeah.
And I was getting more and more convicted that how could we help students become aligned with their passion. But then I started noticing parents, as years went by, the parents became more involved with their kids. And I started developing programs for parents. How could we teach parents to let kids go, or to evoke that natural gift in their kids and in themselves, to know their own gift?
What do you think the major mistake as parents are making that's hindering our children in finding?
Well, I think we assume we know best.
So as parents, we come to the conversation of our kids knowing
and
who they are and what their work is.
Right, and my three boys, I know I have fallen into that. I know best for you, and there were several times. Well, I remember very vividly my oldest son, who's now just graduated from medical school, and he's a resident, and he was very academic, and he wanted to take piano lessons, and so I just assumed if I had any other kids, they'd all want to take piano lessons. And so my middle son, who's very much more ethereal, and so I started in piano lessons, he just hated it, and the teacher would say, you've got to make him practice more.
And
he would cry all the way.
This is piano confession.
No, it is. It's terrible. And somehow someone told us our kids had to play the piano.
Like we would have smart kids if they played the piano or something.
And my boys were always into sports, and they're if you know my boys, they're quite rugged. And so David, my middle son, he just loved film. He was always making little films. This is before films on cameras. We had video cameras. And he really started enjoying improv. And he learned about improv on somehow. And then one day I thought, what if I just broke away from music, as my mom said, no, you've got to learn piano, and just had him study improv. And that was, to me, where he lit up.
Yeah.
He really stepped into his own. And then for years he studied improv. And then my youngest son, I have 3 boys, he's been, and then that's, I actually joined the 3 of them together. They just are very close, even though they span 10 years.
Right.
My husband and I just had kids over 10 years.